Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back to your daily crypto news and analysis. And I hope that you're all having a beautiful day or a beautiful night wherever you guys are out there in the world. A lot has been happening around the overall global monetary system. There has been, an ongoing attack on the US dollar, as you guys are probably all aware of, and everyone has been making a very big deal about it. I've reported on the US dollar for well over now, probably 2, 3, 4 years now regarding this. And, as we really look at what's been going on with the US dollar, it's kind of suffering death by 1,000 cuts. Okay. What does that mean? How should we look at this? How should we address it? And it's very simple. Okay. Everyone is thinking that imminently the dollar is going to lose its reserve currency status, go to zero, and the US as we know it is pretty much dead, while the BRICS continue to triumph over the US and essentially replace the US. And it's not going to go like that. It's not going to be an overnight thing. It's going to be death by 1,000 cuts. We are going to see the US continue to lose dominance and continue to ultimately devalue the US dollar as we know it through inflation and through mass printing. And this is just going to continue until something breaks in a very large way. And I've talked about this in the past. I do believe that we are nearing the move towards a digital based system. And the way that we usher into that is by destroying the old system and ushering in the new. Now, as we do really look at that, yes, I do think that the BRICS are 100% a focus point because it does add pressure, but it's more so an accelerant to this. It is a problem reaction solution scenario, and that's exactly what we are getting right now. If we go back here to May 29th, we got just in China dumped $48.9 billion in US Treasuries in Q1 of 2024. Now, although it's not a very significant amount, it is still pressure being put on the dollar. Now, as we really look outside of this, we also got this on the 29th, which is just in. Printing US dollars to fund war is coming to an end, says former senior member of Singapore's government. One day, you will not be able to print US dollars just like that.
Because if I'm an ordinary American, who's paying for all this? Well, if you can print the US dollar, that's okay. But one day you cannot just print dollar like that, and it'll be a choice between guns and butter. So my money goes to guns or for my butter. There's no question how they will vote.
The alt season time bomb is ticking, and now is the best time to go and get your free access to 30 secret crypto gems that I personally have researched completely for you so that you can save a ton of time and make a ton of money. The link down in the description below takes you guys to this page where you can claim your free access instantly right now, free of charge. It's completely free. So what are you doing? What are you waiting for? Go and click the link down in the description below as well as in the comments below to get access now. So, although this is just a very short clip, it shows you where we're kind of headed, right? In a sense of how everyone's thought process when we hear this clip, it's going to be completely different. Everyone's going to have their own idea of how this works, how this looks. Are we going to see the US dollar fall drastically while another reserve currency takes its place? If that is the case, where are we headed towards going forward? Because everyone has been looking at the BRICS, but they're not looking at their currencies and how their fiat currencies have done so far, right? Because every single fiat currency, as we know it, has failed. The fiat currency system, as we know it, has failed. I do agree with this statement that we will not be able to print US dollars just like we do today, because we are going to be running on a digital based system where everything is accountable for its own actions. Meaning, if the US government wants to inflate a digital dollar, they will be the ones reaping the repercussions for that. Because guess what? Every single nation will have their own currency. We won't have a reserve currency. Why do I say this? Because once we have instant settlement, the use of a reserve currency is useless. There is no need for a reserve currency once there is something in between two currencies that can settle it in an instant time frame that is of stable value. Now, as we think about that, okay, it doesn't have to be fully stable. It doesn't have to sit at just one price. But once we have that instant settlement, once we have atomic settlement between two different currencies in a near instantaneous time frame, it's game over for any reserve currency. We no longer need it. And I've talked about this in the past. Now, as I do bring this up, right, and as we do look at fiat currency, Arthur Brito. Guys, do you know Arthur Brito? Yeah. He is the anonymous individual behind Ripple, as well as many other companies. And we have here a full breakdown back in 2012. Real money for Ponzi money. I held the cash in one hand, something I trusted all my life. And he's talking about the first time that he paid cash for Bitcoins. And the cash seemed like so much play money, monopoly money. I realized the dollars were even worse than play money, which I had never valued. The US dollars had betrayed my trust. It was Ponzi money. Money that has been and would continue to be devalued by the government if I dared to continue to hold it in my hands. And this is true. Although it might not seem like it, fiat currency is the biggest scam ever created by mankind. We have at the bottom there. Then there is gold and silver, wonderful things, which I could never truly appreciate until Bitcoin stared me down this financial adventure, or started me down this financial adventure. Of course, everyone should hold some gold and silver too. Bitcoin has led me to some real gems on the internet. Now, as we look at what's going on around this space, obviously, yes, everyone loves Bitcoin because of X, Y, and Z. But in my opinion, I just think that there's other things of value outside of Bitcoin that, in my opinion, will be much more valuable long term and even return us a much larger return on our investment. But outside of that, as we look at fiat currency, yes, I look at it the same exact way. I do think that it is pretty much Ponzi scheme. Right? It's just a big Ponzi scheme, and it's one of the biggest scams ever created. And at the end of the day, yeah, it's only going to continue to get worse. Dollars will continue to devalue. I mean, go back to 2012 versus now. What could a dollar buy you back in 2012 that it can't today? You could probably name off a ton of things. What could $20 get you back in 2012 versus today? And it's insane that it is the case, but this is only going to continue. Now, there's a post that recently got put out by the OMFIF, and this was on May 29th. And we have China is defending against the dollar's dominance. Now, I did go over here to ChatGPT to really kind of summarize this, and we have China is focusing on defensive economic strategies to strengthen its financial security amid rising geopolitical tensions with the US and Western financial sanctions against Russia. Since the 1997 Asian financial crisis, financial security has been integral to China's national security, leading policymakers to reduce reliance on the US dollar and develop alternative systems. To achieve this, China is pursuing three main strategies: regional and multilateral financial cooperation. China supports initiatives like the Shanghai Initiative and the renminbi regional liquidity arrangement, promoting the use of local currencies in trade and finance through organizations such as the Shanghai Cooperation Organization and also BRICS. Renminbi internationalization efforts include expanding the use of the renminbi in global trade and investment and establishing renminbi-based financial infrastructures like the cross-border interbank payment systems, which is SIPS, which offers an alternative to the dollar-based systems like SWIFT, for an example. Global commodities pricing. China aims to enhance the renminbi's role in commodities trading and particularly in clean energy. It has introduced renminbi-denominated futures markets for oil and copper and established the Guangzhou Rare Metal Exchange for critical minerals. These strategies are designed to mitigate the impacts of potential Western sanctions, especially in scenarios like a conflict over Taiwan. However, while China can expand renminbi use in trade, obstacles such as capital controls, limited renminbi-denominated assets, and a relatively closed financial market hinder its rise as a global reserve currency. But like I said, there's no need for a global reserve currency, which now technically, if we're looking at that and we're looking at that in, a year, 2, 3, we don't know how long it could take. What is going to stop these nations from growing significantly, from doing their own thing, and essentially cutting off all these ties to the US? And I think that that's what's kind of starting to happen now. I think that what we're starting to see in terms of these major these efforts against the US dollar and a move against the dollar or trying to kill the dollar, I think that this has been the plan since day one to really kind of introduce these major digital currency based systems and even just digital currencies themselves. And I also think that that's why we're starting to see such a big push on CBDCs and even instant settlement around digital currencies, or the initiatives around DLT and blockchain from like the IMF, the World Economic Forum, the World Bank, the BIS, etc. Now also over here, and this happened on May 28th, BRICS push to reduce US dollar dominance with digital currencies. And this has been a focus of mine because we continue to start to see a push towards, like I said, digital currencies around transfers and even cross-border payment initiatives. And for an example, here we have down here, a significant development in this context is the interest of central banks in digital currency transfers. Granville noted that a potential systemic solution involves a platform from the Bank for International Settlements that facilitates direct peer-to-peer settlements of commercial invoices and foreign exchange trades using CBDCs. And see, I think that this is exactly what we're starting to see now behind closed doors. I feel as though everyone is looking at what the BRICS are doing as a massive blow to the US and the dollar, and we're like, all right, that's it. The US dollar is dead. We're going to see X, Y, and Z become the reserve currency. But what we're failing to realize is, what is another reserve currency going to do? All other nations are going to want to be a reserve currency, and they're going to, have a major pushback against any, next reserve currency that we get. So what is going to be the solution? Is it going to be another reserve currency? Because if that is the case, what even is the point? It's only going to fail just like every other fiat currency, because at the end of the day, fiat currencies, as we know, are failing. Everyone wants to look at the value of the US dollar. Look at the value of any other currency within the BRICS, for an example, or any other fiat currency. They are failing. The fiat currency system has failed. So that's why we are looking at these new developments, and we're looking at what these nations are doing, but not saying, right? And as we look at that, right, like there is major moves being made by the BIS, the IMF, the World Bank, these major organizations that really kind of pull the strings. Now, as we look at this, right, like where does XRP come into play? Well, a lot of people have been looking at XRP and XLM as major players around like the new monetary system, for an example. Black Swan Capitalists recently put out a post, and it was, with the dollar losing its dominance, central banks are buying gold in anticipation of a price re-evaluation. The BIS aims to dissolve global debt as the new monetary system emerges through blockchain and stablecoins. Currencies backed by hard assets are guaranteed. XRP, XLM. Now, I don't like the idea of the word here, guaranteed, because we really don't know, but we could definitely look at a few things, and we can break things down from an overall standpoint of connecting dots, really kind of looking at what the PDF files are saying and the overall documents. XRP and XLM are definitely two that are mentioned heavily within any document by these elite organizations. So I do think that XRP and XLM will definitely be, high up on the food chain as, two major currencies that could very well be tapped in. But check this out.
So that can only be satisfied by a higher gold price, that demand. But that, so it's going to be a gradual move initially, but at some point it could be a major move, a major evaluation, because to satisfy this demand and to make gold the reserve currency of the world, which I think will happen, that will require a major revaluation of gold. And how many times gold will, and I hope won't be an overnight reset. There are some people talking about that the US will revalue their gold, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times, or whatever it is. And that's a way of solving the US debt
Now, what's interesting about this idea that he's bringing up in terms of like gold becoming the reserve currency, I find it very interesting because it takes me back to this document. Now, this got posted by Edward Farina, and this just got posted recently. And I don't like how they crop this because it's actually from a prominent individual around the space that has been around for a very long time. And this originally got posted back here in May of 2020 by Martin Volk. Now, again, this is back in 2020, and this was his idea, and it was based upon the book The Death of Money by James Rickards. And again, as we really address where crypto assets are currently, where they were back in 2020, and how much has changed essentially since then, it's very interesting when we look at gold and how tokenization now could affect gold. How these DLT systems could essentially play into the CBDC narrative, and also what we've been learning from these major elite organizations. This overall theory is very interesting because it's now speaking volumes today way more than it did back in 2020. And here we have gold at the top of the list, which will essentially be the reserve currency, right? Like that's what they're looking at is like this, reserve currency. Then we have SDRs, which is a specified weight in gold, right? This would be defined as equal to a specified weight in gold. It's special drawing rights. That's what it originally stands for. But this is essentially what this would be defined as an equal to a specified weight in gold. And then we also have tier 2, which these are CBDCs. These are the US CBDC, the Eurozone CBDC, Japan CBDC, China, UK. You get the picture, right? Now, where does XRP or XLM or all of them come into play? Well, now we also have these digital systems because all these CBDCs will be issued out on ledger technology, DLT. That's where big players get tapped in. That's where all of these assets get tied into. Now, I see on this, we have XRP being mentioned as the bridge currency. It would act as a bridge currency between digital central bank currencies, which themselves lack interoperability. And that's exactly how Ripple is still positioning XRP. A lot of people are looking at XRP and they're like, oh, well, it's doing nothing today. It's useless. It has no value. It's XYZ. Well, there's a lot of value tied to the XRP ledger. There's a lot of use cases now popping up around the XRP ledger. And ultimately, I do look at the XRP ledger as becoming very populated with a lot of great use cases over the course of the next couple weeks, months, and years ahead. I also think that XRP, still being in the top 10 after well over 10 years also speaks volumes. But outside of that, yes, Ripple as a company is still positioning XRP as a bridge currency, not only around CBDCs, but also even around cross-border payment technology. So in my opinion, XRP has a very large value within this entire breakdown. But this is one of the most accurate depictions of how I foresee things happening as well. And I've included this PDF file on multiple videos already, really kind of outlining what my thought process is on what's about to happen around our current financial system. And we do know gold is playing a vital role. I've talked about this on multiple occasions as well. So many nations are now looking at gold, and recently India's central bank has moved around 100 tons of gold from the United Kingdom back to its vaults in India. So we're now starting to see stockpiling and hoarding of gold happening, and this has been growing for years and years now. Even the BRICS nations, by the way, for an example, since about 2009, the BRICS nations have been stockpiling massive amounts of gold. And I do think that it was in anticipation of what was going to happen. I think that they saw 2008 and they're like, all right, yeah, we know that the system is breaking down. We know that things are breaking. Something is going to happen on a much larger scale. And we bought time by printing more money, by propping up the system with a Ponzi scheme, essentially. And that's why when I go back to this original post by Arthur Brito, I do look at dollars. I look at the fiat currency system as we know it as one of the biggest Ponzi schemes, because we prop up these markets. We prop up the financial system to make it look like everything's all good. Everyone's expecting crashes. They're like, oh yeah, this is completely normal, but it's not. Right? Like we look at what has happened in, the last couple decades, and it's just like, this cannot be normal. This is not how things work. And so far, economically, if you look around and you really kind of take a clear view at what's happening, it's clear that the system is breaking. It's clear that the system is completely broken as well, and it has been broken for well over a decade, and it's only going to continue to get worse until something on a much larger scale breaks. And I feel as though we're kind of building towards that. I think that the BRICS pressure, I think that everything that we're starting to see now is just building for that big bang event where we really kind of push up into the digital currency system. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below, though. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you guys did enjoy this video, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.